Today on Project Shop, I'm going to show you how to break down various types of transformers by hand, and what I consider the easiest way to do it, and the tools you're going to need to make the job easy. Okay, so first of all, let's start with the tools you're going to need. When I get these transformers, they come from parking lot lights, and I've already clipped all the wires. I don't have any of this. You can kind of see, let's grab this one, the wires sticking off. I mean, there's usually a big old bunch of wires sticking like that, and the best that I found to use is a pair of snips, like 10 snips, okay, because mainly they'll reach across and just about get all of them in one shot. These little ones, it'll cut them in one shot. If you're using a pair of dikes or wire cutters, obviously you're going to be snipping here forever. And even my dikes that I try to get everything with spring-loaded handles. And these always come with spring-loaded handles, and these are the best. Then you're going to need a grinder for some of the ones that are difficult. I'll show you why. And then a file when you're done, or when I buy them, I check them before I even buy them. But this is actually a hoof file. Works the best that I found, and it was free from scrap. Screwdrivers, different types of punches. I always keep a big old dowel rod I can cut different custom pieces for. This is the main one I used to knock them through and put them on the press. And then the hammers. Okay. Oh, let me go back to the grinder real quick. Cutoff wheels. You don't want like grinding disc. You want the thinnest discs you can get, because if you got to cut into the coils like this one, you probably had to cut. You don't want to be cutting a big swath of copper out of there. It's going to take longer, and you're tearing up your material. And then for difficult ones, these ones went through the machines, but as you can see on the second part, it started slipping here. So I'll show you. And these ones here with the paper and the glue, and they're really difficult. These ones here went through the machine. Well, someone tried to put it through the machine, and these ones definitely need a grinder. Okay, and that's why, because it's kind of it's got like a lock on them. And the best way to do that is with the grinder, and I'll show you a little trick I do. You don't have to go deep at all. You can see it's not that far. So when I go down that with the grinder like this, I make a good straight cut. And then what I do is, like, after the second or third cut back and forth, I'll turn the grinder a little bit just to widen that up. Like that, you know what I'm saying? It goes quick. And then like this type here, normally I just bend that tab, or I'll cut it with the grinder. Now this type here, these, like this one here, this one, and majority of the ones I get, 90%, I can either break with a hammer straight out or send it through the press. These ones, the way these ones here that look like this, which usually come out of like microwaves and small electronics and stuff, I don't get many of them, but the ones I do get, there's two different types. They have a W, kind of what I call a W, okay, and then a flat piece on the top, and you can see they're welded here, and they're welded here. These ones you can pretty much break with a hammer, no problem. Now these ones are the same way. There's a W, but the problem is they're W this way, and the next one is W that way, because it's not a solid chunk of metal. And you can see now these ones here, the only way to get that out, in my opinion, is to cut it, or unless you had like a hammer mill, which I don't have. And then like these ones where they got delaminated through the machines, and it's just not going to push the copper out. Basically, you just take your grinder, grind down there till you hit metal, grind down there, and it'll pop right out. Same thing with these. When they don't want to go through the machine and they're stuck, you grind down. Sometimes you can just get away with one side, but grind them down, it'll come right open. These ones you have to grind down and then hit with a hammer first, and then these will go through the second part of my press, no problem. Okay, so now these ones here, these big ones, as long as you look and you can see lines on both sides on the same side of the transformer, they'll all go through the you can just break them down here, and I'll show you how I break them down easy. If you don't have like a big table or something, get yourself a big solid chunk of steel, okay? Because you want to be able to set your transformer up on it like that, And you see that line? You want to get it as close as possible because you want to give this piece here, which is shaped like an L, somewhere to go when you hit it with the hammer. And you want to be hitting it as close as you can on this side. And I'll show you how to knock these out real quick. These ones here back in the day, you know, because I would run them through the press, I spent tons of money on Sawzall blades, and grinding, trying to get this off. Turns out you can just smack it with a hammer, or the ones like this, you smack it, it knocks the little piece over. You can run it through the machine, or you can beat it with a hammer if you don't have a machine. So I'm gonna, I got the scrap cam set up, and I'm gonna show you how to break these down with a hammer. Okay, before we do that, I want to go over the best hammer to use. Now, I've been doing this for 8 years. I started my scrap adventure or hobby, whatever you want to call it, breaking down these HID transformers. I mean, I built this press and that press immediately in the beginning, but I still cut my teeth breaking them with a hammer. And when the machine's broke, or sometimes you get little hang-ups, I'll show you here in a minute, where there's always a little piece, and I'll show you why this right here is the best hammer to use. Okay, first of all, this one here, you know, looks nice, got a nice sharp point, and that's very important, that sharp point on the backside. Junk. 2.5 pounds, bullshit. This one here feels kind of funny. It's not balanced very well in my opinion, and the back of this thing is just too blunt. Okay, garbage. This one here, nice looking hammer, garbage, because when you're beating on these transformers, there's so much weight on the back side of the handle, it's kind of awkward and goofy to me. Garbage. This one here is the best balance hammer. Okay, you got a lot of the power and weight in the front and minimal weight back here. When you're beating on stuff, this just gets it done. Okay, and I've been swinging this hammer for 8 years. When I pick up a hammer like this one, it feels like I'm holding a toothpick. Okay, so in the beginning, I used to cut these with a grinder or a Sawzall, and then I found out that you could just tap it like that, and then it just shears it off, and then you can run it through the machine. Now, I was talking about that lip over there on that thing. That's why I have this set back a little bit, and I actually have a piece of carpet underneath that's just to deaden the noise a little bit. But you want to put, you know, the line just to this side, and then you could just full send. And comes off pretty easy. And then you can send it through the next machine down there, no problem. These ones here are a little different, but it's pretty much the same principle. And a lot of times you hit the top and then flip it over, and then it'll just come right off. See that? And I always keep a big bucket here for all the steel to fall into, so you're not moving it twice. And that one will go through the second press, no problem. Or I'll show you in a minute how to knock them out if you don't have a press. Now, this one here, same thing. It was already broken on one side. You know, you want to be nailing on that right there. Pretty much, it'll knock it off. A little bit bigger one, and a lot of times the best place to do it is over the support of the table. Less bounce and less give. There's actually a little bit more bounce because I got that carpet, but I'm trying to keep the noise down for my neighbors. Anyway, it's a 400 water. Now, like I was showing you before, sometimes, like this will come right off, but you'll be left with a little weld that just won't come off. That's where the back of the hammer comes in. You get in there and kind of a little more delicate, you know, you're a little more precise where you want to put that power. Now you can go ahead and, if you don't have a whole bunch of them, you can go ahead and just pre-grind these a little bit. But then you're wasting blades. You just tap them. And then this is what I'm talking about, where the back of the hammer comes into play. And you turn it over. You know, I don't swing this hammer as much as I used to because I got this machine, but it's still the best that I've found, even these big 1,000 watters. And you should be wearing gloves. I can't find them right now. But pretty much, you know, no problem. If you don't want to be swinging a hammer all day, I suggest you just grind the tops. They'll come off a lot easier, but if you're like me, you don't like buying a bunch of blades for no reason, I would just hit them with a hammer. Now these little ones, same thing. Put them here. Sometimes these little ones are tough, but you know, you just work both sides of it, and they'll start coming off. And one thing I forgot to mention, should be wearing safety glasses, have ear protection, and when I'm doing, like when I do this big pile here, I always wear a respirator. It creates a lot of dust. You don't be breathing this crap in. Who knows what they got on there. Okay, so these are the ones that need to be cut, and if you, I'm going to use a vise, and if you put them in the vise the right way, you can cut one side and just move it around, cut the other side, and then drive the pieces out. And I always keep something down below. Let's see if we can. I keep something down here so that it'll catch all the copper. So let me just get that back into focus. And we're going to put our safety glasses on and our respirator, because this is going to create a lot of dust. Okay, now I got a new blade on here, so we should be able to penetrate all the way to the inside. If the transformer was bigger, what I would normally do is come from the top on an angle like that. You want to find where the center core is, and you don't want to cut past it, but you want to make sure you get in there to it and kind of cut out like a V, and then knock it through. Now as you can see, the piece moved off pretty easy. And what we're going to do now is just take like a file or punch, or not a file, a punch, or some type of driving machine mechanism, and just knock it out. Okay, and there you have it. All right, so I'm going to show you what I meant when I said cut this kind of like a V. Alright, now it's kind of hard to see, but I got to trim just a little bit more on that. Now you really only need to do this on like a big transformer where your grinder wouldn't have enough penetration to come in from the side. This one obviously it would, but a lot of times the bigger ones, you know, you just have to come down and cut, and you want to make sure that you're within the line of where that copper's coming up. This one's not in the line. It actually give you trouble when you try to knock that out of there. So we're going to grind it a little bit more. And you should be able to just knock that out. I had a whole bunch of custom made
tools where it was flat, but they always wind up in the scrap. So this works pretty good. What I do is I twist it sideways so it's just not digging into one, because it'll actually get in between the coils. If you do it sideways like that, back and forth, it helps push it out. There you go. Well, okay, now these are the ones that got messed up. So we're going to go ahead and grind on the side that got messed up to free it up. We're going to rotate this around a little bit. You really should be wearing gloves, but I can't find my gloves right now. Or take some type of chisel and just knock the sides out of that. You know, that's the part pretty easy. And then these ones here, these are the ones that have the little locks on the top and bottom. Now once you have that, then you can take your sledge and whatever you're going to use. And you'll see it'll start cracking and coming apart. And then that'll go through the second press. Okay, so those big ones we were breaking down earlier, 1,000 water and the 400 water, and then this one, which I call like a microwave transformer. Get yourself, you can either use a vise or 2 plates. These are just, this whole thing I built out of scrap. These are just angle irons. And then what you're going to want to do is just send it right down the middle. Copper. Now, another good reason for that wedge is because it lets you get down in there where you wouldn't be able to do that with the top of the hammer. And then a lot of times the top will come off, and then you can continue down in there. That's aluminum. This little one, this one looks like it's going to be a tough one. You know, that just makes it, yeah, it's going to be a tough one. Get down there far enough, you can get the top off. There's 2 little pieces of steel there normally. Knock it out. 1,000 water. Start off with the blunt end first, send it, turn it around, get down in there and start operating. Once you get so far, you should be able to get that top piece out of the way. You can get back in there. This one's being difficult. That's aluminum, that's copper. Okay, I'm gonna break one down from beginning to end. Show you how fast you can do that. go. Okay, so there you have it. That's it for this video. If you come this far, thanks for watching. Please subscribe to the channel. I'd like to put out some more informational videos like this for you. I got some other ones coming up on stripping wire. And then just make sure you have the proper safety equipment, plenty of fresh water, clean water. Keep yourself hydrated, because you're going to be in for a workout if you're doing this by hand.